What time is it, brother? What time is it, minister? Do you see the time of the day and the sign you're living under? Can you understand it? Do you see it? Everywhere now, there's no revival. Everybody's complaining. Ministers crying. I was reading one of the outstanding papers that comes here to the church, a very fine paper. Now I know the editor and I know the people. They're godly people. Very fine. Brother Sister Moore of the Herald of His Coming. One of the finest papers on the field. Herald of His Coming. But they hardly will print anything unless it's about fast, pray, sound a trumpet. How many reads it? You know, you see it all the time. Yeah. Fast, pray. It's all you hear. Fast, pray. We're going to have a great breaking of the day. There's a great thing going to happen. All of you pray. We're not too late yet. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? They want a great awakening. They're crying, believing that there will be awakening. They're good people. Why is it? What have they done? They have not recognized the awakening of the bride. See? By being a Christian, they feel the pull of the hour, but they haven't recognized what's been done. Amen. That's what's making them feel that way. They know something's supposed to happen. But see, they're looking for it way off in the future to come when it's already happened right by you. Amen. That's the same thing they did in the old days. They believed in a coming Messiah. They believed that there'd be a forerunner come. But it was right on them and they didn't know it. They didn't recognize it. They believed there would come a forerunner. They would forerun the Messiah. And they cut his head off. And kill their Messiah. Because it was prophesied that they'd be blinded. Hosea said so in the same spirit that spoke through Hosea, spoke through John, and said the church in this last days would be naked and blind. Amen. And would put him outside the church. They failed to see those prophecies fulfilled. But being in there, they realize it's something that's got to happen. They just don't get it. They don't realize it. Much like the Jews of old times, blinded Laodicea. Riches, theology, hostile with the church, hostile towards the message. Look how hostile those Jews was with John. Look how hostile they was with Jesus. When he was the very one that they claimed that they were looking for. I believe we blowed a fuse. I suppose that cuts the tape recorders off too. It doesn't. All right. They were hostile towards the message. What happens is so much momentum. Each one of you all are a heating unit. There's no way to keep the church perfectly normal under those times because, you see, each one of you are 98 BTUs normally. And you just don't sit there like that. You're constantly putting out heat. There's enough air in here now to freeze the place up. But with the heating unit going forth, you can't do it. Notice, hostile. But now, like the Jews of old, blinded, they're at Laodicea. They're naked, miserable, wretched, and don't know it. Day of riches. Great theological teachings. Great education. And now they have become hostile towards the message. They want nothing to do with it. Just like it was back in the days when Jesus of Nazareth was on earth. The reason people in Noah's day did not go into the ark because they never recognized the message nor the messenger. That's the only reason they perished, is because they didn't recognize the hour that they were living. They didn't recognize that God would deal with sin as He promised He would. He'd destroy a man from the face of the earth. He had prophesied it. He meant it. And He means it today the same as He did then. But the people, instead of being favorable towards Noah, he was considered a wild man. They didn't believe him to be a prophet. You know, Jesus in His own self told us how they scoffed in the days of Noah. Made fun of him. Called him a fanatic and what more. But they didn't recognize their hour. They didn't recognize the day. They didn't recognize the sign.
Amen.
They didn't recognize the message. They didn't recognize the messenger. But put him from their midst and laughed at him. Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah. With Israel in her land and everything setting down, the message is just perfectly moving in. What day are we living, brother? Where are we at? They didn't know the day. They didn't know that's the reason they missed it. It's because they didn't recognize it. They were like the day, somewhat like the people today, blinded by scientific proofs, by educational systems, by theological seminaries, and things that blinded them in that day. It's done the same thing today. It's blinded them again.